question that I've been getting a lot recently is how to build an amortization table in Microsoft Excel for Canadian mortgages. A lot of people are just kind of curious to see how much of each mortgage payment is going towards interest and how much is going towards principal. And I thought that this would be a good way to show how to work that out and just show the math behind the calculations. So assuming you bought a $400,000 home, you'd be putting about $80,000 down. I estimated these costs, obviously they can vary, so your total closing costs would be around $83,000. You pay that up front, and then you have a mortgage of around $320,000. Your amortization period, or the common amortization period in Canada, is 300 months or 25 years, and a common interest rate period is 5 years or 60 months. The interest rate can be fixed or variable, but for simplicity, we're just going to make it fixed for this video. And it's right now the interest rate by one of the big 6 banks is 4.29%. So this is the posted rate for a 5-year fixed mortgage. Mortgages in Canada are paid monthly. However, interest, or the posted interest rate, is actually calculated semi-annually. And so in order to build this table, you need to convert the interest rate to a monthly effective rate. And you can do that by taking 1 plus the interest rate, dividing it by 2. And you divide it by 2 because it's compounded semi-annually, and there are 2 semi-annual periods in a year. And then to convert it to a monthly rate, you just want to go 1 power to the power of 1/6. And the reason you're doing 1/6 is because in a 6-month period, there are 6 months, and you're looking for just 1 out of those 6 months. So your monthly effective rate is actually 0.354%, and that's how you're going to get your payment amount. So what you want to do is you want to go onto your payment column, and you want to type in equals PMT. The rate is going to be the rate that you just calculated. The number of periods is going to be the amortization. The PV, or present value, is going to be your mortgage amount. And it's not your mortgage amount that changes throughout time. It's going to be the starting balance of your mortgage. The future value is going to be 0 because you're assuming that after all of these payments are made, your balance is going to be 0, and you don't need to put anything for the last type. This will give you a mortgage payment of $1,733.95 every single month. And so now here is where you split your payment into a portion of interest and a portion of principal. Interest is just calculated as the starting balance at the start of the month times the interest rate, and then whatever's left over is going towards principal. And what it means by going towards principal is that the ending balance, or your mortgage, your actual mortgage balance, is decreasing. So in this case, we have a payment of $1,733.95. $1,133.91 is going to be interest, so what's left over, it's about $600. Now your new ending balance is going to be, or your old ending balance is going to be your new starting balance, and your payment isn't going to change. At least it's not going to change for 60 months. Interest, however, in this case, is going to start to decrease a little bit. The amount of interest that you're paying is going to be a little bit less each month, and that's because you're making payments on your mortgage. So in the next month, for example, you're now going to pay about, I think it looks like $2.15 less in interest, and you're going to pay $2 and something cents more in principal. No matter what happens, the sum of these two, interest and principal, will be your payment amount, and your payment amount isn't changing. So your ending balance, again, is going to be the starting balance at the start of the month, and it's going to be subtract the amount of principal that you paid in that month, and that's going to be your new, again, starting balance at the start of next month. Your payment doesn't change, your interest payment goes down a little bit, and more goes towards principal. And this just keeps happening more and more over and over again. And you can go all the way down. Once you have this formula here, you just drag down to, say, 60 months. This is what's typically, in this case, or in this example, it's the renewal. We're not going to go through how to do that, but assuming that the renewal interest rate is the same as your current interest rate, then your payments aren't going to change, and you're just going to be able to do this all the way down. You know you've done your amortization table right. When you get to your final payment, there should be no balance left. And so you can see we have a starting balance, our payment, only $6 went to interest, and $17.28 or $17.27.83 went to principal in this period for an ending balance of 0 after your 300th payment. That's how you build an amortization table in Microsoft Excel. You can adjust this obviously for a few different, or I guess a different scenario. For example, if this was a 30-year amortization period, then you would change this to 30 times 12 or 360. And then you're going to need to, your payment's going to go down, but you're also going to need to adjust your number of payments. So you'll see now there's still a big balance left here, and that's because we have 5 more months of payments, or 5 more years, excuse me. And so now, once we're at, again, this time here, again, our ending balance is 0, and this is at 360 months. And if you want to calculate the amount of interest that you paid over the entire term, you just have to go equal sum and sum everything. So on a 360-month mortgage or a 30-year amortization, you're going to pay close to $247,000 in interest on a $400,000 property.